Yeah, I'm Jimmy Jingles. And what? Did you think we was just gonna roll through everyone and walk into a league title? This is going to be a war. So get ready for it. Pants, mate. It's a long story, man. I'll talk to you about it later. Let's just do the show right now. Look, let's get right down to it. If for some reason anyone was missing Jose Mourinho in the Premier League, he's an interesting character, that one. But when the big matches roll around, we all know what we're going to get. A big bus parked right in front of his goal and very little actual football. And look at these headlines. Mourinho, blame Liverpool for 0-0, not me. Mourinho again after the game. Liverpool aren't the last wonder of the world. It just makes my stomach turn, Kay. Yeah, and you know what I think of it. I can't stand it. It's like a loophole in the game, in the league rules. Mourinho knew his team couldn't compete with Liverpool in an actual football match, but it was really a masterful managerial performance from Jose Mourinho, and you're right, we should have seen it coming. It's Mourinho's specialty, parking the bus in a game like this, or else they would have been badly outclassed. And I stated the question last week, could Manchester United remain disciplined enough to keep Liverpool at bay? And the answer was yes. They did exactly what Mourinho asked of them, and they did it really, really well. It was going to take something really special to get through the Manchester defense, and Liverpool almost pulled through with a goal. But in the end, that's what Manchester United came into Anfield for. 1 point. The way they played, the odds were in favor of a draw, and that's what they were happy with. They were basically taking a pass on this game. Jose Mourinho is manipulating this league system to basically say, we're not going to play with Liverpool. We're going to take a pass on this game. Us and Liverpool are each going to take a point from this game, and we'll take our chances with the rest of the league. Because if they actually went to war with Liverpool, it wasn't going to be pretty. And those quotes you just read, Jim, blame Liverpool for 0-0, Liverpool were the defensive side, it's complete and utter. And excuse my language, but this is the only way to put it. It's just bullshit. His side were the negative side. They completely restricted the game to just their own penalty box. But one thing Mourinho said that he may be onto something is that Liverpool aren't world beaters, at least not yet. Liverpool, they still could have gotten through. They had a couple of chances to pull this out, but they were also very lucky that a couple of very bad mistakes didn't turn into Man United goals, because then Mourinho would have looked like an absolute genius mastermind coming out of this with a win. Overall, I would say he did outmanage Klopp on this day because he got what he was looking for and Klopp didn't. Klopp had higher aspirations though. He was trying to win and win by a lot of goals. Mourinho was definitely trying to nitpick a 1-0 win, but more likely just take the draw. There is no denying that. But if Mourinho and the Manchester United fans and their players can stand them playing that way, then maybe it's the right way to play because they came out of it with a point instead of nothing at all. So in this sort of sense, maybe I could agree with Mourinho that Liverpool aren't one of the best teams in the world because they don't play this way. Their style of play is more shove it down the other team's throat and hopefully get a lead and keep it. And the most top-level games, like the Champions League final and the World Cup final, aren't played this way. Those games are usually between two very defensive sides who resemble Mourinho's defense, more geared toward just not conceding and turning the game into a slower chess match, more cautious than adventurous. And there are only 3 teams in the whole world that can really play this way, and that's Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. But even so, Mourinho's bus is quite an extreme version of a defensive football side. Liverpool will never play this style. Even if they lose, it's just in their basic philosophy as a franchise to play a confident style of football and look to win both by the scoreline and by proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that they deserve that scoreline, that they had the better skills and they were just the better team with the better players overall. Basically, Liverpool were looking to win 5-0, and Manchester United were looking to maybe win like 1-0. So take that for whatever it's worth. But overall, I thought Klopp was up to the challenge because Liverpool had a couple of shining moments that I saw could lead to maybe being the key to get through the Mourinho defense. We'll get to that a little later on. And this is going to be a much shorter episode because there wasn't much actual football played. Last week, the show was 45 minutes long, and because there was a lot of actual football played. Swansea, thank you for playing football with us. That game was an absolute joy to watch. This game, both sides had very few chances. No one got through. It's really a shame that Mourinho wanted to cancel out the actual football playing part of the game and look to only poach mistakes. Maybe they would have won by the scoreline, but no one would have considered them the better team. And every big game that comes along against an attacking side, he manipulates the game this way, and everyone hates watching it and just complain about how boring it is. So next time, let's not all be so surprised. Until there's some sort of punishment or something for only looking for a draw in a game, we will see more of Mourinho games managed this way. All that being said, let's take a look at some of the images from the night. For this game, there are two major things to cover. When did Liverpool come closest to getting through the Mourinho bus? There was a couple of good moments which would tell me that Klopp was wary of what Mourinho's tactics were going to be and gave instructions on certain moves to get through it. And two, what were Liverpool's mistakes that led to good Manchester United chances? Now, there was very little positive for Liverpool early in the game, but here's one moment where United's back line was a little shaky. So here's Liverpool's midfield three: Coutinho, Henderson, and Emre Can. So Coutinho's going to be the main attacking force of the three. Here's Liverpool's front three. There's Sturridge, Firmino, and Mane. Here's Manchester United's midfield 4 and 5 right there. This is their right back, Daley Blind, and he's caught forward from the attack and not really helping out anywhere. And their back line is here off the screen. So Firmino kind of wanders in here behind the midfield, and there's just way too much space here between the Man United defense and midfield. All 5 of these midfielders lost Firmino, and it was like one of the only times in the entire match for Mourinho's men that happened. So Bailly immediately sees this and points it out and has to rescue his midfield from the mistake, because if they don't get on him immediately and he can run with the ball, he's going to have 2 very tasty runs from Sturridge and Mane right here to pick out for a move going toward goal. So Bailly gets up and gets up to him immediately and closes down the space, which they did incredibly well all night long. He has to abandon his back line and leave the back 3 to themselves to help with Firmino. This is very disruptive to Liverpool's attack, but Firmino has world-class skills and tries to get around Bailly regardless of the fact that he's hounding him. And now he has to go quickly because now Man United are in red alert. They all know they're in danger. Coutinho makes this nice run and tries to turn this into a 1-2. Firmino gets by Bailly's close down and tries to lay it off for Coutinho, and then they would have been golden. Bailly has no choice here but to lunge in and try to save this last ditch, and he does. Great defending from him, just gotta give it up. But if he didn't make this tackle, Coutinho would have had Sturridge right there, and that was a decent Liverpool move against a stubborn Man United defense. So there was some heat in the 30th minute, which I don't really want to spend too much time on. Of course, it was going to be a heated matchup between Liverpool and Man United. It was a chippy game. Both teams took fouls if they weren't in dangerous free kick positions. But let's get to the crux of the game, because after Liverpool's awful start to the game, much like in the Swansea game, they got it rolling after around the 30-minute mark. And they were starting to pour down on the Manchester United goal, and Jose Mourinho's men had to buckle down and protect their goal. So this is what Mourinho is really good at. Actually, he's the best in the world. He's been a thorn in Liverpool's side because generally Liverpool will use an attacking style of play, and combating these tactics is what Mourinho is known for. So here's the 34th. As soon as United sniffed Liverpool had something rolling, they just said, screw it. We're staying back here and we're going to be serious about it. So here's the famous Mourinho bus. Liverpool get up the field and United basically let them get to that point up the field. And then from there, here they roll up their shorts and defend the goal line. So here's the back four and here's the midfield four. Look at the space. Not much to work with. Look how compact all 8 of these players are. It resembles a bus. So that's where that term, park the bus, comes from, in case you've never heard of it. Milner is in here trying to ask for the ball and make something happen, but there's just not much there. And you think this is tight. Just wait and see. It's going to get even tighter. So Liverpool have nothing they can do there. Manchester United is not going to press and make a mistake and leave a hole at the back. So Liverpool just kind of probe and work the ball to the other side. So now here's the back four for Manchester United, and Rashford is in there too, and Fellaini. So they're basically just going to join the back line. So now it's like 6-2-1-1-1 formation, basically. Again, literally no space. Even if they get the ball in there, they're not going to have an instant to do anything. This one actually doesn't end up so poorly, as Klein tries to get a cross in from the right inside the box, and Ashley Young has to slide and get it out for a corner. But I'm not going to keep showing this to you again and again, because that's basically all this game was. United never really committed enough forward to trouble Liverpool in the run of play or have any serious chance to score. And if Liverpool ever did have a chance to slip the ball in between Man United's defense and midfield, they only had an instant, literally, maybe less than an instant, to figure out what they were going to do. There was a possession for Liverpool in the 39th where Matip kept going forward with the ball because they were going to give him space to run and cover everyone else. He made a good pass into the space between the lines and looked for a return pass into the box. It was an interesting play from him, but kind of a desperate one in my opinion. Just showed how little United were giving Liverpool to work with. Here's the 42nd. So look, if Liverpool for some reason were able to get the ball into some open space, like if United lost concentration and weren't marking someone, you know they only had a split second before someone was on them. So Matip finds Sturridge here with some good space. So Sturridge, right here, he should already know what he's going to do with this the instant he gets the ball, before he gets the ball, because there's no time to think about this. There needs to be some sort of coordination, something predetermined about what they're going to do when United play like this, because you know you only have an instant to decide. So he should be planning some kind of flick on into a run forward. It's tough to do, but it's their only option. There needs to be a very skilled, coordinated move to beat this defense, and I think Liverpool were aware of that and made it a point in the second half. Here, Sturridge kind of just stumbled and loses possession, but it's something to think about because they will encounter this again. Okay, let me stop you right there for a second. I know you're on a mad roll, but we got to take a break. We'll be right back. And we're back. My friend Kay was in the middle of breaking down the Manchester-Liverpool game. Kay, please, you have the floor. Thanks, Jim. So here's the second half, and I already beat it to death in the last show that I thought Mignolet should start over Karius. We all know what happened, but I have to mention, so Karius's pass out of the back was completely awful and lost the ball to Pogba over here. Luckily, his pass to Ibrahimovic, Pogba's pass to Ibrahimovic, that is, was offside because with all of Mourinho's ridiculous defensive tactics, he could still have stole a 1-0 victory like he did in the infamous Gerrard slip game, which would have been absolutely devastating to Liverpool. I don't understand what's up with Karius. He must be affected by the huge stage and suffering from some bad nerves or something, because I can't believe that he can be this bad. That's all I'm saying about the matter. Let's see how Klopp handles it. On to the 54th. This was probably United's best actual move towards goal. Pogba's little juke got him by Henderson. Good piece of individual skill there. And his cross into Zlatan Ibrahimovic reaches Ibrahimovic's head, but it's sent wide. Mourinho, I feel, did well in playing Pogba further up the field, putting him where Mata was playing for them in the last game, and Fellaini played in this game where Pogba played against Stoke further back with more responsibility helping protect the goal. With more of the focus on defending, Fellaini was definitely a better choice and defended very well at the back when joining the defense. But there was never much support for Pogba and Zlatan up front, and they weren't able to trouble Liverpool much. So here's Emre Can's chance in the 59th. So Can, I thought, didn't look very comfortable or fluid with his teammates for most of the game, but he did sneak into a very nice spot here, and it was one of Liverpool's best chances, but a tough one. Man U let Matip walk in with the ball again, attempting to cover all the passing lanes, but they lost track of Can, and he sneaks in behind everyone amazingly. And Matip gets this ball through both defensive lines, and Can was behind everyone. Now, this was tough, but the right thing to do in hindsight was to shield himself away from Blind, and as best as he could, just let it fly after one touch right here. But like I said, that was a lot to ask for. It would have been incredible. Instead, he cuts in. Of course, Smalling now has time to recover, and it becomes a scramble. Can pulls off a minor miracle to put this ball in a good spot on goal. De Gea pulls off a fantastic save, and he's been a thorn in Liverpool's side for a while. Other than the Europa League match last season, Liverpool have had massive trouble getting through him. He is definitely world-class, top 3 keeper on the planet. It was a good effort for Can, to try, but gave it a shot on goal over the defense in the midfield because he just tries to hoof it over since they were so frustrated by not being able to get through. And it was a decent enough effort to try, but that was a pretty low percentage shot, especially up against De Gea. They're having trouble getting through the bus, so he just tried hitting it over everyone, and he was almost a hero. But so the rest of the time, there was a lot of serious box defending, bus parking, if you will. But there was only one play near the end of the game that I believe holds the key to figuring out Mourinho's bust. Liverpool haven't been able to get through it ever since the Brendan Rodgers era. So this Emre Can pass finds Coutinho, where I mentioned earlier that when Sturridge had some space and a moment, he already needed to know what he was going to do with that ball before it reached him. So here Coutinho gets this pass the same way and immediately flicks it on first time. Takes a lot of skill to place an accurate pass with just a little side flick, but Coutinho does it here. He finds Firmino, who gets behind the defense, and he has a chance to find Mane. But Valencia made the tackle and saved the day. But this was a great play, and I think this is what is going to make or break Liverpool when they play the return match at Old Trafford. So that was it. Jose Mourinho would say he wasn't playing for a tie, and in a sense, he is right, because they almost stole a win. But there is a sense of pride that I'm sure Manchester United fans lost playing this way. They're basically admitting they're not as skilled and wanted to just try to steal a win somehow. But I think Liverpool were the better team. Even against such a stubborn defense, they looked like they could have broken it down if they had more time. It is probably the one fatal flaw in an otherwise amazing and competitive league. Jose Mourinho managed this game according to what they needed for the league standings, and the fact that there didn't have to be a winner meant Mourinho could manage this way. Otherwise, they would have been playing for penalties in a knockout stage match. I don't know what they can do about this. Maybe just don't even give a point for a draw, because I don't think Manchester United deserved anything from this game. But according to the rules of football right now, Mourinho is well within his right to manage a game like this in a pretty much cowardly way. I don't want to say it that way because I don't know, but because it really was the right thing to do though, because they got a point out of it at least instead of nothing. But if they don't mind bruising their ego and they can sleep with themselves at night, it was absolutely the right way to play for them. We'll have to see what happens when they play in Manchester, but I don't think it will change. This is how Mourinho will manage against Klopp unless he desperately needed 3 points for a win for whatever reason. And then I think United would really be in for some hurt. Okay, Kay, well, I think you pretty much nailed that one on the nose. Good work. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up our thoughts on the encounter and check out what happened with the other top EPL sides before we start looking to this week's match. And we're back. We just got done covering this week's game, last week's game that is. Before we move on from it, head into the rest of our season, I just want to get your thoughts, Kay. We will meet Manchester United again in the Premier League when Liverpool travel to Old Trafford later on in the season. What do you think we can expect in that match? Might Mourinho maybe loosen the screws a little bit and let his team loose and open up the game for us to watch? Short answer, no. The match in January is going to look exactly like this one. Klopp is going to go in guns a-blazing and try to embarrass Manchester at Old Trafford if they think that they can mess with Liverpool. And unfortunately for United fans, what I think we're going to see is more of the same scared, cautious, defensive tactics with very few chances or support going forward. And it seems Manchester United fans have accepted that fact, and it's a little humiliating to their ego, but it does help their league position. The days of free-flowing, attack-minded Manchester United football are long gone. They're going to pack it in the same way, even in front of their home fans, who will be starved for a win and a good performance, I'm sure. But they have to play like this, or else they'll experience what Arsenal experienced in the second half at the Emirates, and Mourinho will never be embarrassed this way. He will never let his team be embarrassed in that way. But last thing I want to say about the Man United match is that this is the first match Liverpool played against a Mourinho team for over a season. And I remember now why we hated him so much. It's that he's so arrogant and believes what he says, even though we completely disagree with what he says. Like him saying that Liverpool aren't world beaters after he placed his whole team in the box trying to keep Liverpool at bay without even a hint of trying to go forward themselves. He will go to sleep thinking he is the messiah of world football because his team almost won that game. But the media and literally everyone else in the footballing community is looking at him like, do you really have that little faith in your players that this is the way you have to play? You didn't look like the better team, but I guess in his head, football is more just the scoreline and the final result, even though he and his team took a massive hit in terms of the respect they will receive. No one will think of them as a world powerhouse after that display. Well, all right, Kay, we have to move on. Let's quickly go over how Liverpool's top four rivals fared last weekend. As Liverpool dropped 2 points, they could have pulled level on points with the league leaders if they had won. Arsenal came into the weekend in third place and moved up to second with a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Swansea and new head boss Bob Bradley. Arsenal went down to 10 men after Granit Xhaka saw red in the 70th minute, but Swansea failed to capitalise and Arsenal held on for 3 points. Chelsea came into the weekend in 7th place, but climbed up to 5th with a win over Leicester City at home, as both Manchester United and Everton dropped points. Everton took a lead at Manchester City through a Romelu Lukaku goal on the counter, but failed to hold on to the lead as that one ended 1-1. Manchester City failed to pull out all 3 points as they saw 2 penalties saved in the match by Everton's Dutch goalkeeper Martin Stekelenburg, who also had a heroic save late in the match to preserve a point for Liverpool's inner city rivals. City, despite losing points, remained top of the league as Tottenham were unable to defeat West Bromwich Albion away, only managing a draw, which is why they failed to go top of the league and also fell below Arsenal. This is a good transition to our last segment, as the match was between Liverpool's next 2 opponents. Liverpool face West Brom this Saturday in the league and Tottenham this Tuesday in the last 16 of the Capital One Cup. West Brom actually played Tottenham extremely well this week and surprisingly couldn't hold on to the lead after going ahead in the 83rd. Let's just talk about West Brom right now. What did you see from them, and how can you expect Liverpool to play them based on what we saw last week at the Hawthorns? Well, for most of that game, West Brom concentrated on defending Spurs, but not anything to the extent of the bus we saw Jose Mourinho park in front of his goal at Anfield last week. West Brom had a bit of a higher line and gave Tottenham some space to work with between the lines. Tottenham had a flurry of chances that was thwarted by a magnificent performance by Ben Foster in West Brom's goal. If Liverpool can get in between the lines the way Spurs did, I definitely see them scoring, especially after having to fight to figure out a way through Mourinho's bus for 90 minutes. Playing against West Brom is going to seem like they have acres of space. But West Brom will still be fighting to defend and have an eye on the counter. They didn't look very dynamic on the break, but they do have the Venezuelan Solomon Rondon up top, looking to poach any chance he can get. Their best looking chances, though, came from set pieces, which is really where they can attack Liverpool. If they get a goal on Liverpool, I would expect it to be through a set piece. But surprisingly, in the minutes leading up to their goal in the 83rd, they were the ones taking it to Spurs and actually had a lot of momentum before they shoved that goal in. Tony Pulis, their manager, is probably going to send them in to play a similar style against Liverpool, but be maybe slightly more laid back since they'll be entering a very hostile environment at Anfield with the crowd fueling Liverpool's adrenaline. But the major difference for West Brom playing against Liverpool is that Liverpool aren't going to sit back and let West Brom come into their box the way Tottenham did. Tottenham are more in that Champions League mindset where you work possession when you have the ball and just get back and defend your goal carefully when you don't have the ball. Liverpool just never play like that. No matter who they play, they rely on pressing and just disrupting the other team's rhythm and hopefully winning the ball back somewhere nice so they can quickly get it into your net while everyone's out of position. But I don't see West Brom having a chance in this one, because if Tony Pulis tries to send his team out with the same tactics Mourinho sent Manchester United out with, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work as well for them because his team and his backline and his defenders and his midfielders just aren't as talented defenders. Liverpool would eventually get through. The only thing they can do is try to balance the game out as much as they can, keep Liverpool on their toes as much as they can, hitting them on the counter, and concentrate on their corners to score goals. There's a big Irish and Northern Irish contingent on this team, so they are scrappy and they will fight. They seem to get a big boost from the return of Chris Brunt, who missed Northern Ireland's Euro 2016 campaign through injury. He may not be fit enough to start yet, but look for him to continue to try to have an impact. But this has got to be Liverpool all the way. They just dropped points to United, so they're going to want to get back on the winning track and keep pace with the league leaders. Adam Lallana's return is a huge boost for Liverpool, and they're going to try to get between the lines and finish off some goals. Look for them to score at least 3 in this one, I'd say. Unless West Brom somehow score first and just try to kill off the game, I don't see them having a chance in this one. But it is worth noting that West Brom have had a problem this season holding on to leads. like you mentioned earlier, it was a little shocking that they didn't kill off that game against Spurs and come away with 3 points. Tony Pulis must be aware of how he mismanaged that portion of the game and will probably have something different prepared should he find himself in the same position. But it shouldn't reach that point. Liverpool are far too skilled and they will be rested and energetic, ready to take 3 points home with them. Well, thanks, Kay. Good stuff. It's going to be an interesting one, I feel. This English Premier League season is about to take all kinds of twists and turns that no one is going to see coming. 8 games in, this will be match day 9, and we've sent our travelling correspondent to the West Midlands to check out West Brom and give us a scouting report. Ahmad, we're ready. Let us have it. Okay, thank you, the Jimmy Jingles. Ahmad, here. We are here in the town hall of the West Bromwich. This is a nice place. I would definitely consider to design my lavatory like this room. It would be nice lavatory. I just find out that Robert Plant from the Led Zeppelin was born in this small town of West Bromwich. But on to more important things. I just noticed that Johnny Evans from the West Brom, he had yellow card versus Tottenham in the last game. So I start to count how many yellow card he have this year. So he have already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow card. So I informed to Premier League to make sure he not going to play versus Liverpool. Now West Brom manager Tony Pulis must choose new centre half to play versus Liverpool. What I am hearing is that Swedish player Jonas Olsson will take his spot. He is tall, so he will help attack Liverpool weakness on corner kick. He also made goal last year versus Liverpool at Anfield in Premier League, so I have come to understand from my sources that Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp know how good West Brom is with corner kick and free kick, and as we speak, Liverpool are practicing to defending corners. If Liverpool can keep clean sheet again, they will probably win match. Okay, Ahmad, thank you very much. Good job once again. Time is running out for us on this week's show, but we will see you next week to discuss how we fared against West Brom and look forward to next week's matches against Tottenham and Crystal Palace. I would like to thank my friend Kay for staying up for the show and being so well prepared. We hope you will tune in to Kayhon TV in the near future. And to all you little girls out there, it's a dangerous world at night, so please stay indoors.